know it sounds harsh and inconvenience to try to convince you guys that we need to increase the national overall driving age from whatever it is nationwide. They're different in different states, but the overall national age, I think it should be increased to 17 years old for beginner drivers, and for for full driving privileges, I feel that we should increase it to 18. I know that that sounds a lot of really harsh, but if you want to talk about harsh, being waken up at 3 a.m. in the morning by a state trooper to tell me that my 17-year-old niece had been in a car accident, and results of it, she was killed and her brother was killed just from 17-year-old teenage driving late at night. The reasons there are three reasons why, and I have the evidence to prove my theory. The reason why that there are so many accidents, which are 13.3 million accidents a year, which is also going up 11% from last year of teenagers' fatalities. The reason is that not only that the inexperience, but inexperience plays a great deal with this. They're very inexperienced, and that makes it very hard for them to make the right decision, because with everything, experience plays a major role. But the main thing for that is the brain research. I found from the anatomy and physiology books that it proves what happens in the brains. And here is a slide that shows you in the prefrontal left hemisphere, in the cerebral cortex, right here, this is where the development of taking a risk take place. When someone is 16 years old, their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed. It's just starting really to develop fully when they turn 15 years old. So that's why they have more accident, because they don't calculate how much risk it is. That's why they speed more, and they don't take in the risk factor, and that causes so much more teenagers to be in accidents, because of it's not just inexperience. It's they can't help it, but it is fact that the brain has these problems with it, and they don't develop enough. Another thing that causes them is that when they have other teenage passengers in the car. When teenage passengers are in a car, the teenagers, they're not going to pay attention. They're going to be playing with their friends. They're going to have the radio up really high. They're just going to not pay attention. So their chances of having an accident goes up again by another 11%. And actually, when there's 2 or more teenagers in the car with them, the chances of the accident goes up 55%. That is enormous. Just by going from 1 passenger to 2 or more passengers, the chances of them having an accident is 55%. And most of the accidents that happen with teenagers happens on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Those are the days when they're out having fun, or they're rushing to events, or just shopping, or whatever it might be. And I'm not even mentioning how many are from drinking and driving. I'm just saying that there's so much of an impact of the teenagers just because of the inexperience and the brain research factors. Another thing is that by raising it 17 years old nationwide, that will give them time for when they get their beginning permit at 17, that'll give their brains time to develop. That way they get time to practice more driving. That'll give them time for them to take in the risk factors. And then when they turn 18 years old, then they had enough experience, the prefrontal cortex is developed enough, and they're better prepared for the society on the streets. And like I said, I know that is very for a lot of people. They don't want to take their kids everywhere when they get 15 and 16 years old. They want them to drive themselves here, there. They want to just get them in a car and let them go about their business. But it's more harsh and more inconvenience when you see the results of my sister losing 2 kids like that, and you having to tell her that her baby's not going to come back home because they weren't developed enough. They weren't drinking or anything. It's just that the fact is the brain, they can't develop quick enough, and that has so much of an impact on teenage driving. So I really think it's very important that we should increase the nationwide driving for beginner permit to 17 nationwide. It's different in different states, and they also should be at 18 nationwide. They should be able to drive alone or at night, because at night is very important for them to have a little more experience, because there's a lot of things that come into play at night, also when it comes to driving. And I think that this is very important. It's something that we really should keep in mind, because we all want our loved ones to come home safely, and we all want to make sure that we're able to drive and go about our business without being ran over or killed by teenage drivers or any type of situations like that. Thank you.